Unit 2 of environmental science looks at both ecology and the ecosystems. And one of the big student projects within Unit 2 is focused on the biogeochemical cycles, all 5 of them. So the nitrogen, carbon, water, sulfur, and phosphorus cycles are all researched and looked at in this project. Now it's done in groups, and the students are going to use this large post-it paper of 3 feet by 2 feet, this large canvas, and on the paper they're going to draw the ocean, atmosphere, and terrestrial components of the Earth system. And within this canvas or foundation, they can then use each cycle or put each cycle on a single piece of tracing paper over this foundation, in which to construct and draw each cycle and then lay it over this foundation to have each cycle overlap each other. And then from there we can correctly analyze what each part of the Earth system is interacting with each cycle. In some cases, multiple cycles in one component of the Earth system. So the students are going to construct these cycles on tracing paper, and this is the version that I did for the water cycle, trying to include all of the fluxes, the storage, the sinks, the pools of the water cycle, from groundwater, groundwater flow, aquifers, surface water, snow, ice, glaciers, the marine environment, fresh versus salt water, and obviously the atmospheric component. And I did it in blue to make it different from the other cycles. Then the students can add the carbon cycle, which is green, on top of the water cycle once it's completed, and looking at the different sinks and pools, looking at CO2 in the atmosphere, looking at the changes of carbon in the oceans and the reactions with water, looking at carbon from the crust and lithosphere, looking at carbon through the biomass and the soil, and also the natural greenhouse gas carbon through various natural and human sources. And you can see from the initial water and carbon cycle laid down on these tracing papers, or these different sheets, is how they naturally interact with the same components in the same parts of the Earth system. And they are working concurrently. Then we got the nitrogen cycle in purple, which again includes the atmosphere, the oceans, the terrestrial components with the rock layers, the soil, the bacteria, and looking at the biomass and how these components connect in the nitrogen cycle, and again laying it over the previous carbon and water cycles on that foundation. Next sheet is the sulfur cycle on the tracing paper. Just align it with the previous sheets and the foundation to match it up, and looking at the atmospheric reactions and chemical reactions, looking at the ocean, looking at the phytoplankton, the bacteria, the autotrophs, looking at dissolved sulfate, looking at the terrestrial components and volcanic eruptions, and looking at the storage of sulfur through sedimentary rock layers. And our final cycle in the Biogeochemical Cycles project is the Phosphorus Cycle, and again matching it up, looking at the oceanic reactions with the phytoplankton, looking at the terrestrial component with the rocks, the soil, the biomass, but the special part of the Phosphorus Cycle is the limited to very small interaction with the atmosphere and gases. Only a small, maybe tiny aspect of the atmosphere is involved, but it's not a large phosphorus sink or storage, unlike the other cycles that do utilize the atmosphere a lot more. So in conclusion, the purpose of this project is to analyze each cycle, its role in the environment and ecosystems, its cycling of the nutrient or chemicals, and how also these cycles interact together as one big flowing system of nutrients and chemicals and reactions, and involving all of the Earth's systems.